Good evening, everyone. We are back continuing our retrospective of all of the Studio Ghibli films. We're at 1988 today, a year in which two Studio Ghibli films came out on the same day, which I wasn't aware of until right before we went live, I think. But we're talking about My Neighbour Totoro, which, alongside Grave of the Fireflies, is definitely the happiest one of the two. So it's really nice talking about this one. I have seen Grave of the Fireflies before. It's been a long time. Oh, it's a bit of a harrowing film, but we will get to that next week. But yeah, we got to talk some Totoro.
It's a happy movie.
It might be one of the happiest movies I have ever seen in my life.
Do you know what's not happy though? Remember Magic Stars and how they used to have like superheroes and stuff on them? They don't do that anymore.
Yeah, I know. What was it? Just killing childhood dreams.
I mean, they still have
joy.
the faces on them, which is cool, but they don't have like Superstar and fucking, like that. That's really sad.
My favorite was Superstar and Rockstar.
Those were cool. See, if they brought that back, but I did find a little packet of 75p ones. So I was like, 75p. I was like, that's so cool. But if they had the little fucking like Superstar, that would have made it so much better.
I've just noticed how the wallpaper looks on this screen. Actually, so you are Chonky Totoro. I'm Satsuki, apparently.
My favorite was still what was it? What was the one with the snail? The Memoirs of a Snail. The one with was the face. That was cool.
Yes, yeah. I just throw an image on and be like, there you go, there's my background. And sometimes it just works out. Totoro, My Neighbor Totoro. This film's reputation definitely precedes it. I mean, the mascot of Studio Ghibli itself is Totoro. This is essentially your Mickey Mouse, if you will, of Studio Ghibli, or Ghibli, however you want to pronounce it. This film has won countless awards. This is often ranked as one of the best animated films of all time. The Totoro character, the mascot, is one of the most popular characters in Japanese animation, and even kind of in the Western world as well. This thing's gone global. This character features in Toy Story 3 as well, and there's an interesting bit of trivia about how Totoro came to be in Toy Story 3 very, very briefly.
When's Totoro in Toy Story 3?
Yeah, he gets a hug from the gang. He's one of the toys. I think it's one of Bonnie's toys that she has. She has a Totoro.
Is he?
Yeah.
I never realized. I never noticed that.
So yeah, but there's a bit of trivia, and it's very interesting actually. It's quite fun. So, you've obviously seen the Totoro character before, but did you know anything about this movie going into
Wait, hang on. You said about the trivia, but then you just stopped. I want to know what the trivia is.
Oh, you want to? Oh, okay. So
I was waiting for that, and then.
Oh, okay. I was going to save it till later, but so Hayao Miyazaki directed this film once again, and the character of Mei, the younger of the two sisters in this film, was based off his niece. Okay, fast forward many years time, we get to Toy Story 3, and I'm just finding the specific here so I can just get his role at Pixar correct. Yes, here we go. So the art director, Toy Story 3's art director, is Daisuke Tsutsumi, and he is married to Miyazaki's niece, who was the inspiration for Mei's character in My Neighbor Totoro. And that's how Totoro came to be in that movie. Was not included in Toy Story 4, though, due to licensing problems. So
Toy Story ended at 3. I didn't think they did it 4.
It did. I agree. My Neighbor Totoro, often described as well, it's likened to that of Winnie the Pooh in Britain. There's a lot of parallels actually to some like great childhood literature, Winnie the Pooh being one of them, and there's another specific one which I know you're a big fan of, Alice in Wonderland. There's some Alice in Wonderland in there too, quite a bit.
Yeah. I thought you were going to reference Snorlax only because that was the first thing I thought of.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was the first. As soon as Totoro appeared, I was like, "Oh, look, it's Snorlax."
You just want to get the flute, don't you, and just like play something to wake him up.
That's what I had in my head. I was like, "Oh, I remember playing Pokemon."
So, My Neighbor Totoro. What were your thoughts going into this? Had you seen anything about this before, or just the character?
I just seen the character, and to be fair, I didn't even clock at I didn't clock. Like I didn't know that was the character. I didn't think, I know that the character came from this. I just kind of watched it, and I was like, oh, that's the. I was like, okay, cool. So I didn't even know that going in, if you know what I mean. It wasn't like a whole okay, so this is the character that's on there. It was just, oh, okay, this is the character. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I didn't know anything about it, and I didn't know what I was going to make of it. I didn't know what the movie was going to be about. When you saw the dust gremlin bunny black things, I was just like, where's this going to go? I don't know. And it's like, we've got to find the stairs. And they were like looking around for the stairs. And then it's like, oh, it's dark. And I was like, so is this going to be some like, there's a creepy thing upstairs and they make friends with this thing in their attic? And I was like, I don't know where this is. Like, I had no idea where it was going to go. And it was just really nice and wholesome.
It is, yeah. I had seen this film once before, many years ago, and honestly, I didn't remember a damn thing about this film watching it again for this review. So it was essentially like watching it afresh for the first time. I think I did watch the dubbed version originally. When I first went through them, I think I watched all of the dubbed versions for the very few Studio Ghibli films that I did watch. But yeah, this was basically like watching it afresh, and it's just so simple. I had a feeling that you would enjoy this one because when we did the Disney retrospective and knowing the kind of stories that you're into, specifically when we did the Disney ones, you mentioned, really liking Winnie the Pooh, Lady and the Tramp as well. Those kind of not massive plot centric ones, just day in the life, nice, relaxed, comfy and wholesome movies. And this is exactly that. I think
that's what you need in this world where everything is like, you got to do this. You just need something where you just go, oh, it's just nice.
Yeah.
And you don't need to focus too much.
I think this is probably one of the best examples of a film that I think gets like childhood mannerisms and the way they interact and the way that they see the world. They just got it down perfectly. They genuinely feel like kids. They're incredibly well written, and the way that they view the world and the fantasies that they have, and what I like as well is all the adults in the world. Although there's some very serious stuff going on, you've got the girl's mom who's in the hospital, and you've got the father who's trying to get the house sorted. He's trying to work a job at the university and also care for his kids. There's never a moment where he like snaps at them or says like, oh, stop acting like a kid. He nurtures their childhood innocence, and he goes on those adventures with them, and he's like, oh yeah, we need to scare the dust bunnies away, we need to scare the Totoro, not scare the Totoro away, but scare the demons away, or whatever he says.
Yeah.
And it's just such a nice family dynamic. I feel like in any other movie you'd have the parents that are just don't care about what their kids are doing, and they'd snap at their kids for, it's time you started acting your age, Satsuki, you're not 4 anymore. You get that whole thing, and you don't get that in this. It's just such a nice, enriching environment for the kids to be in, and the natural world around them as they go on their adventures. It makes you yearn for better days, doesn't it?
It does. It's like, it's really nice. I don't think there's a single bit about it where it's not nice. It's just all happy and fun. And well, I say it's all happy and fun. Obviously, there's the serious illness and stuff, but it's a happy, fun thing around it. Like, the kids are happy. The kids are like, they are strong characters. They're not just like wimpy kids as well. And it's like, but they've got that childhood innocence. Like when they even when how do you pronounce the name? It's not Sasuke, is it?
No. Satsuki with a T.
Yeah,
Satsuki.
I keep saying Sasuke, and yeah. But anyway, her. Like when she cries as well, like it kind of shows how she's still an innocent child, but she's still quite a strong character, and I think that works really well because it has that anime vibe that a lot of them have, where all the characters are quite like, you get these strong female characters, which we've had quite a lot now, which are great. But then also, like I say, it shows her innocence. It isn't like a disguise of the whole she has to be strong 24/7. It shows that they're still children, which it's very real,
Yeah, the way they interact as well, like when they have their argument towards the end and when they get upset, when May like she wants to be with her sister when she's at the school, and the nanny brings her to the school and she says like, I tried everything, and she just wasn't having it, and she's there with her arms folded like this. Like, that's how kids act, and it's just, yeah. I to your point about them being really strong characters, I love that right from the get-go. You've got this little 4-year-old who's like the most courageous 4-year-old you've ever seen. She's not scared when they go up to the loft, and they've got the dark staircase, which almost, it felt almost like a horror movie at that point, because you got these like mysterious dust bunny things which you didn't know what they were.
Their dad is like laugh and it'll like stop you being scared kind of thing. She's like, yeah, but I'm not scared.
Yeah, I love that. I remember that scene as well. I was watching a couple of videos on this film saying that that scene almost got removed for Western audiences because like he's bathing with his daughters, and it's like, why are you even thinking, like, why you got to make it like that? Like, it's not
Yeah, I
that. Why
know.
have you got to make it like that? It's the people that
It,
have a problem with that shit.
I
Like
know they're the ones that think of it.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's mad. I mean, to be fair, it was a surprise to kind of see that scene in this like kept in, because it's not something you'd usually see.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
sense of not the idea of the scene, but the way it's shot as well, in the sense of
Mhm.
like May's like head exactly where it is, sort of thing, covering, like, where he's got his, like, you know what I mean, exactly, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
where he's got his legs open, it's covering it. It was done in such, it was drawn in such a way that was just like, it was surprising to see this in such a kids movie in Western audiences.
Mhm.
But no, like you say, it's, yeah, there's nothing wrong with it though. Like, we, more of that kind of stuff. But then again, it was the 80s, wasn't it? It was like
Yeah.
ages ago when you
Yeah.
could kind of see that, those kind of things. Whereas nowadays, you just wouldn't, because it's just so that, oh, we can't do that. It's like, but why?
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. But yeah.
What I really like about this film, and there's probably other films that have done this as well. Well, one that I'd throw out there as well, which itself is very much like Alice in Wonderland, Labyrinth. How you have like the children or the child whoever the protagonist is going through some kind of emotional upheaval. There's a lot of serious stuff going on in their world, and they're trying to process it in the way that kids do, and in doing so, they turn to their fantasies, their magical world that they can escape to escape the realities of the harsh, cruel reality around them, essentially. And it's really whenever the kids are lost, confused, scared, that's when Totoro's there, or that's when some magical woodland spirit will come along and protect them, or just cheer them up a little bit. And that's really what the film is all the way through. I mentioned the Alice in Wonderland comparisons. Very much when May first sees the magical elements to this world, and you have something that kind of resembles the White Rabbit a little bit, and she follows it into the hedge, and he's kind of running like, I'm late for a very important date kind of thing. She tumbles down the tree, which kind of looks like the rabbit hole, and then she's into this magical kingdom. But I like that there are those traditional elements to it of literature that we're aware of in the Western world. There's a lot of stuff that is very oh well, God, what's the word? Like very Japanese mythology, cultural stuff. Yeah, that's what I was looking
Yeah.
for. Sorry. There's a lot of cultural elements to it, which probably would be lost on a Western audience. You see the giant camphor tree, I think it's called, with the rope around it, and we don't
See,
really.
this is the thing. I mean, I hate when, I mean, to be fair, they don't do it as much now, but because Pokemon was a big thing where they censored Japanese things in Western audiences, because it was like, oh, to disguise it. Well, not disguise, but like the whole, like you said, it'd be lost on people, which I hate, because it's like, but it's just a different. Do you know what I mean? It's that sort of like, because like what Pokemon did, I think it was Pokemon, wasn't it, where they had like the rice balls, and it was
Yes.
edited to be like a
Yeah.
burger, and I
Yes, that's
hated
right.
that, because it was just like, but it's do you know what I mean? It's like, other cultures do exist. They can have a rice ball. I
Yeah.
hate the fact they change things like that. I really do. So, yeah, I mean, like you said, I know you say like, things like it might be lost, but one thing I find really interesting, and I still do to this day, like, like reading as well. Like, if I read words, I'm like, I have no idea what that means. Finding out what it means and go, that's actually really cool. I like that. Or, you'll watch something, you're like, I've never seen something like that before. I mean, one of the things, I'm sure the first time I ever saw like cherry blossoms and stuff like they have in Japan was watching an anime and watching the leaves sort of like blow over, and it's like it was snowing, and I was like, is that a thing? And I was like, oh yeah, so it is. Like, they refer to it as like I can't remember exactly what they refer to it as to, but it's like cherry blossom snowing kind of thing, and that does actually happen. I was like, that's so cool. But censoring it and taking it away just takes that away, and you like knowing about that kind of shit, and it's just, and doesn't that also take away some sort of fantasy element? Because in a way, it is a different world. Like, we will never see that kind of thing being over here, but there is another world out there, another country that does that.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of, again, fantasy element, which is so like, oh, cool, and they take different things from different cultures. So I hate when things take those kind of things away and just, we'll keep it to what you know. And it's like, but it's nice to branch off and do other things. I don't want to stay in this box all the time,
And even though I might not know all the ins and outs of it, and what is fascinating is then when you read up about it and you do realize what the significance is.
Mm.
As I say, it might be lost on us a little bit, but I think you get everything from the film. Like when you see this tree, like there's a scene where the father takes them there. It's when May's trying to show him Totoro after she's first seen him, and they can't find him. But they go to the tree and they bow before it. They say like a prayer in front of it, and he said, "Thank you, like woodland spirits, for finding May, looking after her, and things like that." I feel like that still comes across in the film anyway. You know that these people have a love for the natural world. Again, another theme that's in a lot of these Studio Ghibli movies. And that they have a reverence for like the spirits, sort of like the old guardians of the forests or the woodlands or the hills or whatever it happens to be. Now, I don't know much about sort of Shinto religion. There's Shinto shrines, and as I mentioned, that rope around the tree. There's later on, I think it's when the girls are taking refuge in the rain, in like the downpour. You can see these statues in the background, which are Jizo statues apparently, which are made to sort of guard over or watch over children and make sure they're kept safe and nurtured and everything like that. It's all great sort of background stuff that help to bring the themes of spirituality and just it really is. We talked about the Hobbit a couple of days ago, the comforts of home and just the simple things in life. And
Yeah.
there's been elements to that, I'd say, in all of the Ghibli films that we've reviewed so far. Certainly in Castle in the Sky that we talked about
And I
last time.
think that's the good thing about, because that's one of the things about these movies as well. All the characters end up there quite childlike. They're kids. It's that innocence, and I think that's that portal fantasy kind of thing where it might not be a high fantasy in just a big fantasy world like orcs and dwarves and all that kind of stuff, but the real world, and then they're taken into it, like Alice in Wonderland again. Something where it's like an innocent child is just thrown into this world where it's all magical and different, and everything is just. And the great thing about it is like because nothing makes sense. It's like it's just so different, and it's that innocence where it's like a child's innocence could think of anything. It's like because the older you get, the more logic you have. As a child, anything could just mean anything, and that's what's brilliant about it.
We talked about like the comforts of home and the natural world and everything, and this idyllic world. It's so beautifully animated. Very simple colors. You got like the blues of the skies and the greens for the trees and the grass. But
yeah,
I just want to live in this film. It looks so enriching. It's
such a nice animation style, isn't it? It's so nice, and the thing is, where they live is so. It's just so out of the way and like a nice place. It just feels, really, really nice.
A big thing they talked about with the animation in this was the water animation, where they go to like the stream and the bit where May puts her hand with like the tadpoles and everything. The way that water was animated, I watched an interview with what's the guy who did Lilo and Stitch, does the voice of Stitch as well?
Chris Sanders.
Sanders, that's it, yeah.
Yeah.
So he was talking about how blown away he was when he first saw this movie and how they animated water and how it looked so realistic and what were they doing to achieve that. And apparently it was just they animated it just clear and just added a couple of little highlights on it, like the shimmering of the water. It wasn't like this overlaid thing or anything. It was just how it was drew on paper, and they just put a couple of highlights on it for like the reflections and whatnot. But it looks so lifelike when they're on that bridge, and there's like a glass bottle, like all the litter and stuff that's in the stream that you'd find, and then like the tadpoles. Apparently that tadpole thing took I think it was like a full month or more to animate, I think it said. 8 animators worked on this film and they got it done in 8 months. That's astounding to me. Like the level of turnaround to produce a film like this of this quality with just 8 people. I don't know usually how many animators you have on an animating team. I know they have them usually in in different studios, or certain animators focusing on specific things or a specific character. But yeah, just 8 people to produce this in 8 months. And I'll be interested when we talk about Grave of the Fireflies next week to see how far into production both of these were being worked on, because they arrived on the same day, which tells me they were being worked on around about the same time. And they're both massively impressive animated films for what they are. Very, very different films, but yeah, that level of productivity to produce this is just insane.
Well, I think a lot of the animation went on the mom's forehead. It was huge.
Yeah, it was.
It was, yeah.
So one theory that I did see, and I actually shared this with you before we went live, and I think this was in the back of my mind the whole time. So when I was watching it, I thought that theory was legit, and it's the fact that Totoro is like an angel of death, or leading these like children to the afterlife, or something like that, or a sixth sense kind of thing, that the two daughters are actually dead the whole time, and that's why when one goes missing and they find that shoe in the lake, I thought, oh god, this here it goes, like the daughters have been dead the whole time, and this is their
Isn't that Peter
magical
Pan
kind
as well? He's dead the whole time. He's taking them away.
Oh, so all these theories keep coming out, don't they, about all of these things, like a sinister backstory. And there's a like a conspiracy theory out there that this ties into some like very tragic real life incident that happened in Japan, I think in the like 1950s maybe, or something like that. I don't think it's fun to kind of go, oh, maybe it could be talking about this, but I really don't think it is. Like, that's not where the intention of this film lay. I think it's just people looking into it. But there were moments where like the cat bus shows up, and I thought, oh, is this taking them to their destination? And the very end where there's the corn which they bring to their mom, and she says, oh, I could have swore that I saw
Yeah,
May
it's
and
like their
Suki in the
ghosts are
tree.
watching them.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought, oh, so this theory is legit, and I don't think it is. But
Yeah,
because I was
mean,
looking out for it,
you can kind of see it, can't you? But
the idea was planted in my mind, I think, when I was watching it. This might be quite controversial of me to say. Everyone fucking loves Totoro. They're like, he's so cute, he's so plushy, he's round and fluffy. I think he's absolutely terrifying in this film. I don't think I would have been enamored by this character as a kid. I think I would have been legitimately terrified of him.
He sounds like in Digimon the movie, the big scary Digimon. He sounds like Kokomon.
Yes,
the exact same kind of. And I was like, because when he growls, I was like, I didn't expect that kind of voice to come out of him.
I mean, he's got the really sharp claws, like when he's stood next to them. Like, if you put horror music over certain scenes from this film, it could be a horror film. Like, he stood next to them in the pouring rain, and everything looks like it. They got like the umbrella.
Just wait in like 2088 when it's public domain. That'll be used as like there'll be Totoro, Blood and Honey.
Yeah, they'll do a crossover, won't they? They'll like Avengers assemble all of these horror characters.
You know, they're already doing that.
Oh god,
they're doing that, like Winnie the Pooh, Bambi. They're putting all together like Monsters Assemble or something it's called.
God almighty. But there's like when she like falls on him and he's like he's cute and plushy and everything like that you want, and then he lets out this roar, and I think it's the human teeth that does it for me, like the very toothy grin, and also that like wide death stare. And he doesn't blink, and he just stares, and he's got like this grin like that. It traumatizes me. I'd have been terrified of this character growing up.
It's like Ozzy Osbourne when he's on drugs.
Yeah. He might need. He will need some prescribed ones, I think, to get him up and running this Saturday when we go and see him. But
up and running, because he's just sat there like, I can't move.
You got to charge him up. Do you have a favorite scene from this, or a particular moment that stays with you?
Do you know what? It's quite hard. I do like when they're running around the house looking for the stairs. I do like that. It was quite an innocent, like, you know, the thing is, you could tell like they were just like close sisters, and it was just an innocent kind of game and all that. And then, because then even when she like makes her lunch, it's, you know, it's just like a nice, wholesome thing. I don't know if I have like a favorite shot or anything, but like just favorite little bits that are just nice, that it's just a nice family kind of thing. Even like when they're in the bath and stuff, it's just a nice family environment, isn't it? That's the thing. It's all just a nice little place to be.
That food looked delicious as well.
But you got to think, that was in 88. The mom's probably dead by now.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Well, I think Miyazaki achieved exactly what he intended to, because this is a direct quote as well. He wanted to make a, quote, delightful, wonderful film, end quote. And he wanted to, quote, entertain and touch its viewers, but stay with them long after they have left the theaters. And I think he did exactly that. I mean, the impact that this film has had on a lot of other animation companies, that they always, just the fact that Totoro is international, is the mascot, it achieved those levels. I think my favorite scene in the film is the scene that I've used for the background here. It's where they're waiting at the bus stop. And it's quite a long scene. I think I watched a video earlier and they mentioned that it clocks in at around 7 minutes, which is a long scene in a film that's only, well, just shy of 90 minutes, I think it is, isn't it, with credits. And there's not much dialogue. It's all in the stuff that's left unsaid, essentially. And she's waiting at the bus stop. It's raining, it's cold, it's alienating, it's scary. And she's got a sister on her back who's fallen asleep, and she's kind of hunched over this umbrella. And that's the first moment in the film where Satsuki sees Totoro, and it's in that moment of desperation where they're waiting for their father. And I think this film does actually balance moments like that, where when you watch it as an adult, there are some really scary moments. Like when I was watching that scene, that's the part where I thought, oh, they're waiting for the afterlife, because I remembered that theory. And I think it was this scene specifically where that started to click for me. And I was almost watching the film with that intention, which quickly went away. But yeah, they're waiting for their dad and he doesn't show up, and the bus doesn't show up, and like, oh, he'll be on the next one. And I thought, oh, what's happened here? And then you get the fun little Totoro moment, but then there's another moment later. It's where Mei goes missing, and it gets really, really adult and serious for a second. You've got Satsuki, who's like running around trying to find help from anyone. You've got that really unhelpful couple that's like driving in. I don't know if they're moving into the area, if they're just driving through. And they say, where have you come from? And she says, oh, I've ran all the way from this place. And like, wow, all the way from there? Oh, well, good luck. And they just carry on driving. I'm like, piece of shit. Like,
it's to be, again, that was another like adventure thing of like, they're just going to walk. Like it was another, just another, it felt very simplistic that way.
mm-hmm. And Suzuki's running around frantically. And then she hears the news that we've found a shoe.
Suzuki, it's like a car. That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
I knew I thought of the name somewhere. I was like, it's like a, yeah.
Yeah, I did think that. I was like, oh god, am I pronouncing it right? I think I am. It's not like in Scary Movie 4 where they're like Mitsubishi Tamagotchi.
That didn't happen. Only up to Scary Movie 3, and then they didn't do anymore.
And so the main character, she's running around crazy, and she gets that news that they found a sandal, they found a shoe by the river, and she needs to identify whether it's her sister's or not, because Nanny couldn't do it. And my stomach churned when I was watching the film. I thought, oh god, like, I didn't remember anything from my first viewing of this. And she gets there and she just falls to her knees and says, oh, thank god, like, it's not hers. But whose is it? That's what I want to know. It belongs to someone.
It's like those random shoes you find on the street, though. You know, when you'll see like a sock on the street and you're like, how?
What's the origin story of that? Yeah.
But that doesn't make sense. You'll see them on the motorway. You'll see like one sock and you're like, how does a sock get in the middle of the motorway? It's like that.
Mm. And then there's other moments as well in the film where she gets the telegram or whatever it is saying that her mum's took a turn for the worst, and she was having like a scheduled visit, I think, at some point. But unfortunately, that's not going ahead now because she's had a setback in her illness. And she says, like, is it okay if I just stay by the phone because the hospital says they're going to call me back about it? There are these pretty heavy-going adult moments, but I don't think they overstay their welcome, and it doesn't bog the film down. But I like that it has that balance. It needs to have those moments, to have those moments of levity and the childhood innocence during those trying times. And one thing that I really like about these Studio Ghibli movies, and I think they've done this for all of the previous ones that we've talked about, not everything's completely all tied up at the very end of the film, but during the end credits, you'll get like little shots that allude to the story that happened afterwards, how everything all went down. So at the end of this, as the credits are rolling, you see the mom in like a taxi and she's come home, and you're like, oh, okay, so everything did end okay.
That's like Kingdom Hearts 2 does that, where like at the end, you'll get in the credits, in the post-credit scene, you'll see like the beast is now a prince and that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's it. I quite like that. I think it's a good way of storytelling, because it is they lived happily ever after at the end, isn't it? And I don't think you need all of that in the story. I think just it is a
Yeah.
visual medium, it is animation. We get that from the end credits. I know that Naoshka did that as well in the end credits, and I think maybe the previous one did, Castle in the Sky, when we did that. I think that had a similar thing in the credits too. But it's just something I appreciate. It's something I'll be looking out for as we go through all these films. There was an aeroplane drawing in this film, I think, wasn't there? At one point, I was looking at, or no, there's a model of a plane. That was it. The kid was playing with one.
I was not a fan of that boy.
Cantor is the name of the character, I think, isn't it? Yeah.
I thought he was a little bit pointless. He was just there, and he was a bit dopey, and I didn't like him.
Yeah, he's just another kid in the neighborhood. I do like it that he helps them out and stuff there, but I mean that could have gone to another character, couldn't it? There's a little bit of he's got the hots for Satsuki, and you know he's trying to help her out, and the bit where he offers her the umbrella and then just panics and runs away because he's like, oh god, I can't talk to her.
Yeah, but didn't do anything for me. I was like, cool, good for you.
I did hear that a few of the characters from this do cameo in some other Studio Ghibli. I don't know whether that is Totoro himself or whether it's the little smaller Totoros, if they crop up again.
Not going to be the mum because she's dead.
Yeah, that's true. But it could be the Dust Bunnies. I feel like I've seen them before, but I think I'm just getting confused with the character from Howl's Moving Castle or Spirited Away. I thought those characters returned, but yeah, we'll look out for it. I don't know if there's any other things we can really talk about with this. Oh god, yes. Sorry, yes.
Great.
Yes,
that
it is.
Beginning music, it instantly was just like, this is going to be fun. Because the thing is, when we watched it, because obviously this one and what's it called? Grave of the Fireflies.
Grave of the Fireflies. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah. I keep saying Ghost of the Fireflies in my head. And then my head goes to Ghost of Tsushima, and I'm like, that's a game. Anyway, right. So Ghost of Fireflies and this obviously came out the same day. So I was watching this.
You just did it again. You literally just did it.
What,
you said Ghost of the Fireflies. Right after that, you just said it again.
Right. Grave of the Fireflies and fucking My Neighbour Totoro. Jesus Christ. Why? Anyway, the two movies, they came out the same day. And so I was watching this. And when I put it on, I Googled it as well because I was like, just to double check, this is the one we're doing. And I was like, hang on, they both came out the same day, but the music was so good. I was like, I don't want to switch this one off though. I want to watch this one. So I was like, I'm gonna hope for it. But then I looked and I checked and I was like, okay, this is definitely one we're doing because of what we said last time. But yeah, it hooked me from the beginning.
Feels very weird for a company to do that, doesn't it? Where you produce these two massive animated films.
Guns N' Roses did it with Use Your Illusion 1 and 2.
That's a double album, though, isn't it? In all fairness.
But they was released as separate ones, weren't they?
They always do that.
I'm just trying to get some band references in again.
Yeah, no, the music to this, Joe Hisaishi, once again, absolute genius. I've loved the soundtrack to the previous two. I've mentioned it's in Nausicaa and even some elements of Grave of the Fireflies. It's a little bit inconsistent. I didn't watch the dubbed version of Castle in the Sky, which I know had a more complete and full soundtrack to it, so I would like to listen to that. But I have been listening to this music non-stop. There's a wonderful playlist on Spotify, and you can find it on YouTube as well, that do piano covers of a lot of the Studio Ghibli stuff, and it's just so relaxing. Very, very simple, like the film itself, very, very simple melodies in this, but they're so like nursery rhyme-like and sing-songy. Some wonderful melodies to it. I'm still trying to remember all the names of it. I think it, and then like the beginning and end credit song as well. What's that? Totoro, Totoro. Like that has been stuck in my head. That melody, that tune, since I watched this film. Yeah, and I'm fine with that.
The whole thing of the music's just all great. Yeah. I can't say a bad thing about it.
So yeah, I guess like final thoughts on it. I love the whimsical storytelling elements of things that feel so familiar, as we say, like the comparisons to Winnie the Pooh and those just those themes of childhood innocence and preserving that and having that fantasy world available to you in whichever way is possible to distract yourself.
Yeah, and the grown-ups don't like like you said, they don't stop being a child kind of thing about it. They just support them and they're like, yeah, cool. And it's nice.
And that's Miyazaki all over, because he said he always says that the best years of your life are, your childhood and everything like that.
It's
And
very like like Narnia with the whole because like with
yeah.
the the professor where he's just like, oh, maybe it is all true, and he like
Mhm.
believes them and everything. It's that kind of thing where it's like the adults are sort of like, oh, it's like, oh, we're not crazy kind of
Yeah.
thing. You know what I mean? It's that whole kind of vibe, which is quite nice. Is that you don't see it often. It's often the whole, oh, don't be silly, and then it's like, oh, maybe it is real and blah blah blah. It's that nice kind of like, because it still gives that feeling of like only the kids see it, and it's like maybe it is their imagination, maybe it's this, but it's just the whole thing is just wholesome about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the
But
end
then
of
it
it,
also,
it's yeah.
I was going to say, it also gives that vibe of like, you know, maybe the adults did see them before, and it's like you're not actually crazy. The adults like had seen them, or you can only see them through the innocent eyes of a child. So it's like, oh crap, what was it? I swear there's something else like this. I can't think of it off the top of my head now, but like when you become an adult, you stop seeing it. I
Mhm.
swear there is a story I can think
I
of where they
recognize that.
literally
Yeah.
reference that exact thing of we could when we were kids, but when you're an adult, like it disappears from like
Mhm.
I don't know, but there's going to be probably a couple of things like that, but you know what I mean? It's like it's that kind of vibe where it's not explicitly said in this, but maybe that is the case. When you're an adult, you can no longer see it, but they've still got the memories of it, or maybe they can still see it, and now it's there. Do you know what I mean? It's that whole
Well, Nanny says, doesn't she, at the beginning of the film, that she used to see the dust bunnies. Like she's very encouraging of the
yeah.
children's fantasy about it.
And it's like because like Kids Next Door, remember that with the whole they go against the grown-ups and all that sort of stuff, and then you've got one of them like their dad used to be in it, and it's that whole like he still supports them, and it's quite nice sometimes to see that.
Hmm. And I like the familiar literary elements to it. Literacy. I don't know what I'm saying. Like the Alice in Wonderland stuff. As I mentioned, there's like the White Rabbit character, the pursuing of this magical entity which takes you down kind of like a rabbit hole, or in this case, it's a tree, and then you're into this magical
Did
world.
that phrase come from Alice in Wonderland, down the rabbit hole? Was that around
I
before? And then
think I don't know. Actually, that's a really good point. I always thought it originated from that story.
well, that's what I thought, but now you think about it, did that come first? And he just went, huh, and then he just went with it, and then it just I don't know.
That actually wouldn't surprise me though. But I would bet money on that it came from that book. We'll Google it afterwards actually, because I'm
I
really
think it
intrigued
would
by
have
that
come from
now.
that book, but it is a possibility. It was heard in
Yeah.
passing, and it was like, oh, and then that's where the idea came from in his head, and now it's always related to that.
Hmm.
I don't know.
There's a Cheshire Cat element to it as well, with the cat bus with the big grin on his face, and the fact that he can sort of appear and disappear whenever he chooses to. So there's a lot of similar elements to that, and then there are elements that are very much cultural elements, and tying in with real world religion and belief, and spirits of nature and everything like that. And I love that. I like that it's got this very sort of nostalgic feel to it in a
Yeah,
way. And I don't think you have to be Japanese to appreciate this or to pick up on everything, because yeah, there might be some stuff in like the Shinto religion that I don't really know, which is probably second nature to a lot of Japanese viewers, but you still get the spirit of this film that comes from it, and the intention of this film. And initially when I watch films like this where you could say, oh well, there's not much of a plot, it's a very, very small plot to this film. I used to turn my nose up at films like this. I'm like, I need a good story. And that's why in my head now I'm trying to weigh up, do I prefer Castle in the Sky, which has a much more involved story and this rich world
well,
building and lore to it?
it's a bit like Pulp Fiction, isn't it?
Yeah, but I have come round to films like this more and appreciate the circumstances and the characters within it, even if it is not this sort of like grandiose world-ending thing. There's room for both at the table, essentially, is what I'm saying. I'm intrigued to see where I'm going to rank this after everything's all said and done, because I have a feeling that this could potentially top a lot of our lists, or at least be in the top 3 when all said and done. But we've got a lot of Studio Ghibli movies to come, and the next one is phenomenal. It was a film that I did watch, and I vowed that I would never watch it again. But here I am next week. We're going to be watching Grave of the Fireflies. Do you know anything about that film?
I don't. I keep thinking it's Ghost of the Fireflies. I don't even know the name.
You
So
do. Yeah, I'm intrigued to sort of read about
Is it
how
about a firefly's grave or?
no.
So,
It plays into a lot of real world stuff that happened to Japan, which is very
well, was
harrowing.
there like a section of the Japanese army called the Fireflies, and it's about their grave? Could be a thing.
I
What if
actually,
in the
yeah,
people of Hiroshima call themselves the Fireflies and it's their grave? What if that's the thing?
I actually can't remember specifically what the Firefly aspect is to Grave of the Fireflies, but I remember the setup for the film.
What
And
if,
yeah,
right? It's like cubs, right? Like kids like in
yeah,
cubs,
yeah.
but it's like fireflies, and someone goes on a murderous rampage and kills a load of the children, and it's their grave, and it's called Grave of the Fire. It could be that.
Oh god. Oh god. We'll find out. I need to understand the significance of the Fireflies as well, and we will next week. I think we're probably going to shoot for Wednesdays now. It just seems to be how these have fell the last couple of weeks. Although I do have a gig at the end of the month, which is on a Wednesday, so we're gonna have to change that one. We're bringing them out once a week, whether it's a Monday, whether it's a Wednesday. We'll bring you the Studio Ghibli stuff. I must admit, I know I've mentioned this the last few weeks. I know we're still very, very much early into this retrospective, but I'm really enjoying this retrospective at the moment because not to say that I wouldn't watch films like this because I love animation, but sometimes, whether it's subtitled or whatever it is, it's just not a film that you get around to. So I like that we are actually making the time to cross a lot of these prolific animated films off our list. And when we get into them, a lot of which we haven't seen before, a lot of first time viewings, which is always good. So yeah, no, I'm
Yeah.
really enjoying it. In the meantime, let us know your thoughts on My Neighbor Totoro. Do you think it is deserving of all the critical acclaim that it has gained? Maybe you're kind of lukewarm on the film, or maybe you just really despise this film. We're open to all assessments on the film, so please drop us a comment as we continue all of these Studio
And
Ghibli films week to
we've
week.
got Lord of the Rings.
We have. So we will be watching Lord of the Rings together in 2 days' time. I'm very, very excited. I think I'm more excited than you. And I've seen the damn film about 100 times, but it's like I'm watching it for the first time again, which I haven't had in a long, long, long time. So that's going to be pre-recorded. And then I'm going to have to try and work my magic with the editing and hopefully get it past the YouTube gods. You're going to have to give me a week or two on that, I'm afraid. But we're going to be watching The Two Towers and The Return of the King, and we will have videos on those as well. I don't think
And
I'm going to be watching this.
Well, the thing is, we can review that and slide in the final Black Sabbath show review.
Yes, we can. Yeah, where Jason Momoa is presenting it. I keep forgetting that.
That'll be fun.
My mate sent me he's doing an edit at the moment. It's JX, and he sent me a GIF of Aquaman, Jason Momoa. I was like, oh yeah, that reminds me. Yeah, I'm seeing him on Saturday.
Yeah.
Why? Why do we need an intro to these bands? Do we
It was
need a
Sharon's
hype
idea,
man?
apparently.
Oh god, that checks out.
That's what I heard.
Why do you need a hype man for a gig? The band is the hype. The band is the hype band. Like, we're there for that band. We're already hyped, and there's loads of bands. There's loads of bands to be hyped for.
Yep.
We got Jason Momoa holding a sheet of paper, going, at 11 o'clock we're gonna have this. At 12 o'clock we're gonna have an intermission. And like, why are you here?
Yeah. It's the thing is, imagine like Ozzy doesn't show, and but we've got Jason Momoa.
Oh God.
That would be, yeah.
I'm gonna throw both of my complimentary drinks at him. Yeah, and on top of that, consider subscribing to the channel for more movie reviews, discussions, and live streams. As we mentioned, we are going to be having some Lord of the Rings content coming out, which is going to be wonderful. We've, of course, got the Studio Ghibli stuff still coming out, probably until December, and me and JX have got the Superman stuff coming out. I need to watch a lot of movies. I need to get Superman Returns watched for next week, which I'm not looking forward to. And then we've got Superman next week, so I think that's going to be our next big review that we do.
Superman.
Yeah, we've got to do that thing now. Whenever something gets rebooted or remade so many years later, but they call it the same name as the original. I hate that. You have
Halloween.
You have God of War, and then in 2018 you have God of War. It's God of War 4. I know it's God of War 4, but no, we can't call it God of War 4. Yeah, Halloween. We have 3 films now that are called Halloween. Take your pick.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay, we're going to round it off there, folks. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in or dropped a comment or checked this video after the fact. We will see you on the next video. Take care, everyone.